File number 2014-02. Silver Ridge Ski Resort, Colorado. Closed since 2007. I didn't know a ski resort could go bankrupt in the middle of winter. Silver Ridge did. The owners just locked the main lodge doors in February and drove away. Lifts stopped mid-cable. They left everything. For 7 years, the mountain just sat there. Then in 2014, the bank that owned the land finally sold it to a developer. They needed one person to live on the mountain for 90 days just to keep pipes from bursting, run the generator, and keep kids from breaking in. I was that person. I was 31, divorced, and my construction job ended in November. It was $4,000 for 3 months, plus free housing in the old patrol shack at the top of the mountain. I took it without seeing pictures. The patrol shack was not a shack. It was a small A-frame cabin at 11,200 feet. 1 room, wood stove, no cell service. The only way up was a snowcat track that took 45 minutes from the base. The company dropped me off on January 5th and said, "We'll be back April 5th. If you have an emergency, use the old CB radio, Channel 9. Someone might be listening." The first 2 weeks were perfect. Eerie, but perfect. I would snowboard down empty groomers that hadn't been groomed in 7 years. I had 300 acres to myself. At night I would sit in that A-frame and listen to the mountain creak. That's normal. Cold wood creaks. On day 17 I found the first tracks. I woke up, made coffee, and looked out the front window that faces down the main bowl. Fresh snow had fallen overnight, maybe 6 inches. And there was a single set of snowshoe tracks going from the tree line straight to the old ski lift operator hut, which was about 50 yards below my cabin. There was no one on this mountain. The road up was snowed over. I hadn't heard a snowmobile, and the tracks ended at the hut door. They didn't come back out. I put on my boots and walked down. I was scared, but I thought it was a local kid messing with me. The hut door was frozen shut. It had a padlock on it from the outside. I locked it myself on day 2. The padlock was still locked, but the tracks went right up to it. And there were no return tracks. Just a straight line in, nothing out. I walked around the hut. No other tracks, just that one line. I told myself wind covered the exit tracks, even though the snow was perfect powder with no wind. That night I heard the lift. Silver Ridge had 2 chairlifts. Both had been disconnected from power since 2007. No electricity on that side of the mountain at all. At 1:14 a.m., I heard the bull wheel turning. That deep, low, creaking groan of a chairlift starting up. And then the chairs clanking over the tower rollers. Clank, 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 slow, like it was fully loaded with people, even though it was empty. I turned off my lantern and looked out the window. The main lift line is visible from my cabin, and I swear in the moonlight I could see the chairs moving, all of them, going up the mountain, full of something dark. Not people, shapes. Too many shapes crammed on each chair. I got on the CB radio, Channel 9, static, then a voice. Not a person. It was like a bunch of voices saying the same thing out of sync. It said, "We left our gear on the hill. We need to get it." I turned the radio off. The lift stopped at 3:07 a.m. Exactly. The next morning, the lift was covered in snow, unmoving, no tracks under it. But the snowshoe tracks from yesterday were gone, even though it didn't snow. I started counting the days till April. Day 34, the ski patrol logbook. Every ski resort has one. Silver Ridges was in my cabin, left from 2007. I had been reading it to kill time. Lift malfunctions, lost kids, broken wrists. Normal stuff. The last entry was dated February 17, 2007, the day they closed. The handwriting was rushed. It said, "They are not leaving." Night crew says gear is coming up the lift by itself. Chairs are heavy. We told management. Management says ignore it. We're locking lodge and leaving tonight. Tell morning crew not to come. Under that, in different handwriting it said, morning crew never came. We are still waiting for a ride down. It's been 3 days. The lodge is locked from outside. Why did they lock us out? We can see our cars in the parking lot, but we can't get down. The lift keeps bringing them up. Them was underlined 3 times. Day 41. I saw them. I had run out of propane for the stove, so I had to go down to the maintenance shed at mid-mountain to get a spare tank. I took my snowboard. On the way down, I cut through the old terrain park, and there were people standing in it. Maybe 20 of them, all in old ski gear, 2000 style, baggy pants, big jackets, standing perfectly still, in a line, facing up the hill. At me. I stopped. I yelled, "Hey, this is private property." My voice cracked in the cold. No one moved. No one turned. They just stood there. Then in unison they all turned their heads to look at me. Not their bodies, just their heads. Too far, like 180 degrees. I fell backwards off my board and scrambled. I didn't look back until I got to my cabin. I locked the door and watched out the window. They were gone. But there were 20 snowboard tracks now going from the terrain park up to the lift hut, going uphill, against gravity. That night the lift ran again, but this time it was bringing them down, not up. I could hear them getting off. Thump, 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 landing in the snow around my cabin. Walking. Footsteps surrounded the A-frame. Dozens, circling, then knocking on the walls. Not aggressive, polite. Like they wanted me to open the door so they could get warm. The CB radio, turned on by itself. Channel 9. That chorus of voices again. We left our gear. "Can we come in? It's cold." I didn't answer. I sat in the middle of the floor with a fire axe until sunrise. At first light, the footsteps stopped. I looked out. The snow around my cabin was completely untouched. No footprints at all. I packed everything in 10 minutes. I snowboarded straight down to the base lodge, 3 miles, no stops. I sat in that abandoned lodge for 26 hours until a snowmobiler passed by on the access road. He called the company for me. The company told the police I had a mental breakdown from isolation. They said the lifts can't run without power, it's impossible. They said I imagined it. But last year I got curious. I looked up Silver Ridge Ski Resort on Google Earth. The developer never built anything. It still sits abandoned. But in the satellite view from 2022, you can see something. On the main chairlift, about 2/3 of the way up, there are chairs that are loaded with something dark, even though the lift hasn't run in 15 years. And if you zoom in on my old patrol cabin at the top, there's a single set of snowshoe tracks going from the trees to the lift hut. No return tracks. Just like I found on day 17. I still have that patrol logbook. I never gave it back. On the very last page, under everything, there's a note I didn't see before. It looks like it was written yesterday. It says, "Thanks for keeping the cabin warm. We'll be here when you come back."